In previous lesson, we discussed about ASNT, SNTC1A, which is the recommended practice for training, on-the-job training, classroom training, examination, general, specific, and practical, duties of level 1, 2, 3, and certification, recertification, termination, reinstatement, and basically the most important part is number of classroom training hours per method. For RT, for example, is 40 hours level 1, 40 hours level 2, number of questions, general 40, specific 20, and practical is 10 checkpoints that need to be done. So there are other standard like CPE 189, which is a standard. It's more or less the same requirements as ASNT, SNTC 1A says. And there is ISO 9712, which is again, more or less about the same requirements about training and examination, the eye test, colorblind test, and etc. The only difference is SNTC1 is employer-based certification, whereas say ISO 9712 and CP189 is done by the accredited training provider. Otherwise, everything else is more or less the same. Now, those recommended practice in SNTC1A would be used in a written practice, written procedure of the employer to say that, or to pledge that, or to commit himself that, how is he going to train classroom or on the job, how to going to do the exam, how to certify, recertify, reinstate, etc. So once that one is in the written practice of the employer, that becomes mandatory. Now, we brought a typical written practice that normally sometimes the client asks for it from the manufacturer, or the manufacturer also may subcontract the NDT activities, so it's practically from the subcontractor. So it would be the logo of the employer. We put our logo here, TIS, and there would be a document number and a revision number. So for traceability, if anything changes, you rev it up. And the title of the procedure, which is a written practice for certification procedure for, which is a document for personal qualification and certification in non-destructive testing, whatever they do. There are 16 methods, but the employer can choose those methods that they're actually using. And same way, there would be scope, definitions, which methods they are using, what level of qualification they are defined, which is normally more or less everything is from ASNT, SNTCC1A recommended guidelines. And education training, the training program, and again, the same as you can see, re-examination, exemptions, records, and then the syllabus also in this procedure has been brought here for this 5, which is the syllabus is practically more or less should be in line with CP105, which is cross-referenced in SNTC1A as a topical outlines of the training course, classroom training course materials. So here we have 5 methods: liquid penetrant, level 1 and 2, magnetic particle, ultrasonic, radiographic, visual, and there is a RTI also limited certification, radiographic interpretation, and some forms for NDT qualification and personal experience that need to be filled in, because all this need to be documented. Their previous experience, their classroom training, their examination records, and finally their certifications. As you can see here, this is normally that you see most of the procedure is issued by somebody, reviewed by somebody, and approved by normally a SNT level 3. Okay, if you go down, there is an introduction or forward that they are complying with SNTC 1A 22 edition, and CP105 for the course outline. And then you go to a scope uh, that says what is this procedure is about, what's the scope of this procedure, and then it talks about some definitions about approval agency, certified agency in ASNTC 1A, and who is the company, closed book exam, basic education, and examination agency, which can be subcontracted for ASNT NDT level 3. As it says, most of the clients wants the level 3 to be ASNT. And the general examination, the experience each person should have, the instructor, what it means, and level 1 and 2. And then all this, as you can see, we already put it in our website, so you can go through them if you want further information. And the non-destructive methods that they are using, the 5 methods out of the 16 methods, and the levels of qualification. Again, this is come from SNTC 1A, that what is the responsibility and job description of the level 1, and level 2, which is can do it unsupervised, whatever level 1 does. Level 1 does it, the job according to an instruction, whereas level 2 does according to the procedure. So the procedure is normally how you do the job. The instruction is a simplified form of it, and level 1 should be working supervised. And that's why most of people go for level 2. And a level 3 has to approve the certificate, do the training, approve the question paper, and lots of other things that level 2 does, select the techniques. And then it goes about how they qualify level 1 and 2 personnel, and also level 3 personnel. Now, level 3 personnel, normally if they're ASNT, they have done a basic exam plus a method exam. Basic, overall about various NDT methods and manufacturing techniques and possible defects, and the specific exam, which is on a method exam, they call it. And the specific exam need to be, if it is required, then it should be outlined by the employer, that they want also further training also, or further exam for level 3 in order to be accepted as an employer level 3. And normally that's not the case. And then education, training, and experience requirement for initial certification is exactly taken from ASNT section 6. And that says what level 1 and 2 does. And then the training programs, again, according to that, how the training done, and then 70% should be achieved, and from each exam, and 80% in total on aggregate. And there is a qualification examination, general, specific, and practical exam. It talks about, and about, again, as you remember from the previous module, about physical examination, which is eye test, which should be done annually, Jaeger J2 from a 12-inch distance, the person unaided or aided, which means with or without glass in at least one eye, should be able to read the boardings or whatever it is in Jaeger J2. And there are samples that normally used by level 3 to check the eye of level 1 and 2. And there is also a color vision test, but this is done every 5 years or after every recertification, which is normally an Ishihara test is used. And then it explains all the general examination, level 1 and 2, multi-choice, closed book, as recommended by ASNT, SNTC 1A, and it brings a table and a specific examination, how many should be, and then there is a practical examination, 10 checkpoints for level 1 and level 2, 10 different checkpoints, same as SNTC 1A, and level 2 practical examination. And if somebody wants to go straight away to level 2, then the number of on-the-job training and classroom training would be added up. In case of RT, it would be 80 hours of classroom training. And then it talks about grading. So the aggregate should be 70% and no single exam. Practical, general and speak should not be less than 70% in order to declare them pass as per again SNTC 1A. And then if there is re-examination, how it should be done if somebody failed, exemptions, if somebody has already a certificate but from another company whose certificate is expired, and then how it can be reinstated after approval. Recourse should be kept so to as a evidence to show that the person has undergone the training and the exam following the certification, and then reapproval. There is mentioned it can be more onerous, but it cannot be less onerous than SNTC 1A. All these requirements, and if when you lose your certification, then you can always subcontract. It says here that a level 3 to do this job for you, but under the supervision of the employer again. And you have to the address and etc. And here this practically those methods that has been SNTC 1A, it tells how many questions again need to be done. Experience requirements, training hours need to be done for each method. For example, here for PTs, 4 hours, and then there is another 8 hours. Total is 12 hours for level 1 and 2. And magnetic particle total direct certification to level 2 is 20 hours, and then this is I think 24 hours. It's written wrongly, and then 80 hours for ultrasonic and 80 hours for radiography. And then on the job training, how many hours they should have and how many questions should be in general. And for the exam for level 1 and 2, say here for radiography is 40 hours and 40 hours again for level 2. For general, for a specific is 20 questions and then 20 questions. Normally, if it is a direct level, then it would be say minimum 40, 20 for directly to level 2 question, type of question, or a combination. And then this sample shows like a record of person where he was certified, what results he got, and his visual test, right eye, left eye, color vision, examiner, who was it, dated it. So this is the training records of the persons, and then the educational records and which courses he has done, which methods he has done. And then we have a level 1 syllabus, which is taken more or less from CP 105, the topical outlines for training. And now if you go here for all this level 2 syllabus, magnetic particle, and the rest is all the topical outlines of each training course, classroom. And say here we are talking about radiography, what is X-ray, gamma ray, etc. And then visual and etc. So this practical is taken from ASNT, SNTC 1A. The topical outlines is used, CP 105 used as a guideline, and radiographic interpretation, as you can see here. And so that would be a procedure. So every time this procedure need to be approved and signed and dated by the ASNT level 3 normally. And if there is any new methods is added, or you want the revision of ASNT has changed and you want to use a new revision for whatever reason, then you rev it up, go to revision 01 and then etc. And normally it's a good practice to say what revision, each revision has been changed. This is revision history. I don't see here, but normally you should have a revision history to show that what has been changed since the last revision. And most of the companies, they just mark it, like make it bold, italic, the areas which they have revised. So thank you. Next one, we'll be talking about sample RT procedure and report.